Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I am doing Comic Uno's Best Comics of the Week. This is the show where I review all the comics I read this week in one show. We go least favorite to best pick of the week and everything in between. Now, before we get into the episode, I do have my Kickstarter still live for about another week, and this is for They Call Her the Dancer. It's about a young woman who's a dancer / assassin, and when she was little, she witnessed her parents being murdered in front of her and never dealt with that trauma until now. And of course, in the comments below, let me know your pick of the week, because at the end of the episode, we do the viewer's pick of the week, and you have a chance for your comments to be in the episode, in the video. And of course, like, subscribe, and comment, because it really does help the channel. Now, digging into these 12 books for this week, a bit more of a normal sized haul for me, because the past 2 weeks, I've had like 7 books. We had the 5 Wednesdays in the month, so it kind of shortened the haul for those last 2 weeks. Now, digging into it, number 12 for me is Marauders issue 19. I've been kind of disappointed with the recent arc for Marauders. I really like this book. As you guys know, I love Kitty Pryde. So, I'm disappointed that I'm disappointed, I want to like this arc, but I'm just not totally into the Madripoor stuff, and I guess I enjoyed the Kitty stuff here, where obviously we know why Kitty wants to help them because they end up helping Lockheed, but the small moments with Kitty and Iceman and Pyro didn't really save the issue for me, and doesn't really get me excited for the gala or just what's to come with Marauders. So hopefully, well, we get to get back to where we were with Shaw and Kitty and Emma to really pick things up again. But I love the artwork. This is my favorite artist on the book, and I love when they're on the title, and I just really love the facial expressions and the comedy and even the emotions in this issue. So I did enjoy the art. But overall, giving that one 2.5 stars, and that is number 12. Now, moving on to number 11, which is The Amazing Spider-Man, issue 63. And this issue is kind of all over the place. We have the Tombstone stuff, we have the Kingpin stuff kind of touched upon in the beginning here, and then Peter's really not in this issue. It's really a Robbie and Beetle issue, which makes sense, and honestly the part I enjoyed the most was that. But because there's so many different factors in this issue, and still dealing with Boomerang and some of Spider-Man stuff and the J. Jonah Jameson stuff, it just felt a little too crowded. I felt like if it just focused on the Beetle and Robbie and Tombstone stuff, I would enjoy this issue a bit more. Also, I like the art. I actually thought this was some of the stronger art for the book, but there's times, especially like Beetle's friends, I was like, is that Mary Jane? Why is she talking to Mary Jane? So some people kind of looked similar to other characters, I guess having 2 redheaded characters. But overall, it was an okay issue. I'm not really sure about the direction for Spider-Man. I'm not really excited for the Chameleon. 1 week a month, or every week it's going to be posted in next month, I think. I'm not really excited for that. I don't really care about the Kingpin story. I don't care about the Kindred story. I just wish that they could kind of pick one lane and finish up a story and then go to the next story. That way you could feel a little bit more emotionally tied to the story. So overall, I'm giving that 2.5 stars, and that is number 11. Now moving on to number 10, which is Nocterra, issue 2. And this kind of went a little lower for me. I really enjoyed that first issue, and I thought this one slowed down a little bit. And with Nocterra, I enjoyed the dialogue. I like the main character, and we learn a little bit more about her parents, and obviously a little bit more tension with the brother turning into this creature, but it's very heavy dialogue. It's very much about this confrontation between the old man and his granddaughter and our main characters. And I just felt like a lot was thrown at us and a lot was like kind of over-explained. Unlike that first issue where we got to really witness a lot of things and it was more showing, not telling, and this one felt a little bit more telling than showing. But the artwork's so good for this book, and obviously I'm still interested to see where this goes, but I just thought the first issue was a bit stronger. So I'm giving that 3 stars, and that is number 10. Alright, moving on to number 9, and that is Batman. Batman, issue 107. I feel like this is the lowest I've seen Batman in a while, but honestly, it wasn't a bad week. There wasn't any really weak books for me, so even though this is a little lower, it still was enjoyable. It just was very point A to point B. It's very much a setup issue of we meet the gardener, we get to see, you know, Oracle setting up these bat signals that we get to see throughout the town, and I guess the tension between police and vigilante a bit more here and building up to that future state of mind, and then a little bit more of Scarecrow, kind of similar to Amazing Spider-Man, but definitely not in the same vein. Just a lot of stuff is going on here, so it just tried to do little pieces of everything, which made it all just kind of feel a little crowded and not a lot of story was being told in each piece. We even have Harley Quinn in this issue, so it just felt like a lot. Artwork is really strong for this book, though. I like that it's been a pretty consistent creative team. But then we have a backup story with Ghostmaker, and honestly, I was not entertained by it. And what's we've been seeing with DC, and we're going to continue to see with DC, is that we're adding $1 for these stories too. Now, the reason I don't quite mind with the Ghostmaker one, it's the same writer, so it's really just a backup story, and it has to do with the main story. There's others which is just like, okay, here's a random story, we just need to fit it somewhere, please pay me an extra $1 for a story that you probably didn't buy, you wanted to buy for the main story, or maybe you did want to buy it, but it's not for everybody. So I don't love the whole extra $1 situation, and I didn't really love it for Ghostmaker. Out of all the new characters, he's been somewhat the most least interesting here. So overall, I'm giving that 3 stars. It was a very okay issue with Bruce Wayne kind of looking like Jim Gordon at the end of the issue, with him having this disguise. So that's happening in the end of this. But I like the design. The design was cool. So like I said, giving that 3 stars, and that is number 9. All right, moving on. This is also a little lower than usual. This is usually like top 5 material, but this was a little fillerish, and that is 7 Secrets, issue 7. We are finally back. It's been like a 2 or 3 month hiatus because they had the trade, and that's usually how they do things with the indies, which I don't know if they do that usually with Boom, but it's kind of taking like an Image comic style in that regard. But yeah, this issue, the reason it's higher is because visually it was really interesting. It was kind of like anime-esque, worldly, swimming in air with stars, and that was really cool. But progression-wise, you learn a little bit more about Casper and his mom, which was kind of cool, and a little bit more about his background, but not enough to dedicate a whole issue to. Now, I understand we had a lot of big moments in that previous arc, but because we had the hiatus, I'm like, okay, no, I'm ready for, like, more story. But really, it was just a filler issue. I feel like I wouldn't have minded this filler issue if we didn't have the hiatus. So overall, I'm giving that 3.5 stars. Still a fun issue, great artwork, but not as strong as some of the previous issues, and didn't really move the plot as much as I wanted to. I don't really know if you needed this issue from the last to the next issue, because it kind of ends up where they're like, okay, on to the next world. So like I said, giving that 3.5 stars, and that is number 8. Moving on to number 7, which is the Immortal Hulk issue 45, which is definitely a little higher than it's been. I also think they try to do too much in this issue, though. There's so many characters that are explored here, and almost every Hulk. You have Samson, and Betty even shows up here, and I'm kind of getting tired of the leader Immortal Hulk stuff, and I know that's weird because that's like the main plot, but it's just been chugging by. I want more in this story, and maybe just focusing on that a little bit, building that story more, and just some more progression. But here, again, it just splits up its story so much. Now, I enjoyed the split up, though, of what was going on in each story, I mean. Not that they actually split it all up. But I love seeing Betty again. I thought that was cool. We get to learn a little bit more about Jackie's power. Samson didn't really do much, but we get to see a Red Hulk here, which is not really Red Hulk, but who knows? Maybe we'll get to see some Thunderbolt Ross in the future. I feel like they've been teasing that a lot, and all the other Hulks are around, so why not him? But I thought that was really cool. We kind of get like a gray version Hulk, so if you're interested in more of that side of Hulk and seeing different versions of Hulk, that was really cool. But the actual story was a little slow for me plot-wise, but it was a really cool looking issue, I would say. And like I said, there are some small character moments I enjoyed with this one. So giving that 3.5 stars, and that is number 7. Moving on to number 6, which is Suicide Squad, issue 2. A little higher, I believe, than the last issue. I enjoyed this one. I still don't feel like it has that unique of a voice, though. But I like seeing Superboy and Peacemaker especially go at it, and seeing their very different I guess, moral compasses here and why they do the things they do. But it's very set-up-y. The next issue is going to be already the crossover with Teen Titans Academy. They're trying to find that new Flash character. I'm curious after the crossover if this book will be able to find its own identity. It has a lot of elements to do so. Again, you have Superboy, you have Peacemaker, these very different elements to Suicide Squad, but I feel like it's digging so much into old school Suicide Squad, it relies too much on it, that there isn't that really fresh voice that you want with it, and it's just kind of going by the numbers, which is so weird because it has so many things and so many elements to add up to a really unique story. So artwork is pretty solid, but again, kind of forgettable as well, even though I enjoyed the splash page of Superboy being punched by Peacemaker. That was pretty cool. But overall, it's a 3.5 star book. I'm curious to see where it goes, but I just don't know how long it's going to be sticking on my pull list if it doesn't really find its unique calling. So that is number 6. Moving on to number 5, which is King in Black issue 5. This is the last issue for the event, and overall, it was a fun book. Now, I'm not a Venom fan. I honestly wasn't even going to pick up King in Black originally, but I remember when it came out, there wasn't a lot of books coming out, so I'm like, let me try it out. And overall, it was a really solid event. It was action-y, the artwork is drop-dead gorgeous, and honestly, there's a lot of good character work here, which is kind of rare for events. Even if you're not a Venom fan, I think you could feel something here, especially between Eddie and his son. And it's really a sacrifice between Eddie and his son, because the son's going to be like the next Null, and then he's like, no, I'm going to save you. And it looks like Eddie kind of takes over the King in Black role. I don't know what that will mean for the future of Venom, especially after Don and Kate's run, but I am very curious to see that issue 200. Even though I'm not following Venom, I do want to see how it all wraps up. And I thought it did a good job as an overall event. Did it affect every character? No. But as a Venom event, it was good, and I enjoyed how the other characters were involved. Maybe not all the miniseries, but I liked them in this book, especially from an artwork perspective. It was really cool seeing them, and just like Eddie using Thor's hammer and Silver Surfer's surfboard. I thought that was pretty cool and visually interesting. And yes, this is very much an action-y issue. Most of the issue is action until the end, but because there's a lot of heart between Eddie and his son, you feel the action, and the action feels worthwhile, and it's not just action for action's sake, which I enjoyed with this one. So I'm giving that 3.5 stars, and that is number 5. Moving on to number 4, which is Firepower, issue 10? Issue 10, and this was a little bit of point A to point B issue. Not a ton happens, and a cliffhanger is kind of similar to a cliffhanger we already got like 2 issues ago. But it's our main character back to his island and his family adjusting, and you still have the secret of his past lover being alive, but he does not know it. So it's a lot of sneaking around and a lot of secrets not being told, and it is cool just to see the family adjusting to this, but then it's our main character, Owen, having to go out and fight and go up against the bad guys, and things go wrong by the end of the issue, and they're in the sky, and things are falling again. So how is he going to survive? It's pretty much the same cliffhanger as issue 8, I believe. So I didn't love the cliffhanger, but overall, it was a good setup issue. It was a lot of setup, and there's some good emotions here, especially between Owen and his wife. And the build up towards this whole lover still being alive, which I'm super excited for them to actually tackle. And obviously the art is always good. I really like the emotional moments and obviously the action here as well. And seeing the new setting was really cool. And just because it's different from the suburban stuff we've been getting. And the action within suburbia to the setting we have now. So overall, giving that 3.5 stars, and that's number 4. Moving on to number 3, which is Silver Coin, issue 1. I've been super excited about this because of the concept. It's Michael Walsh, who is an artist who is also writing one of the issues, but he actually doing an anthology type series, which is all connected by this coin, and instead of it being different artists every issue, it's a different writer, and I just thought that was such a cool concept and something we literally have never seen. So I was super excited about this one, and I'm also a huge fan of horror, and I'm a really huge fan of a lot of these writers. So the first issue is Chip Zdarsky, which has been on, he's just been on a roll. Like, everything he's written, I've loved. So this is no exception here. This is a really interesting issue about music. This guy who is in the 1970s, disco is all the rage, and he's a rock star, wants to be a rock star. He's into rock music, and him and his friends, they're trying to find a break, and no one likes him because they're not playing disco music. So he finds this silver coin in his mom's stuff. I am curious if we're going to get a story with the mom, because obviously she left because of this coin. I think it's you could read between the lines to kind of get the gist of that. And he gets this coin and he burns himself alive, even though he's feeling the music and he wants to be a star. It never happens for him, and he doesn't listen to his friends, and he gets obsessed with this coin. Now, I'm curious for the next issue how this coin's going to be evolved. It's going to be the 1990s. It's going to be my favorite horror genre, which is the slasher genre, with Kelly Thompson, which I'm super excited for. And this is just such a good setup. And I do like a good one-shot. I like a good full beginning, middle, and end. But I like the connective tissue of this coin being connected to everything and seeing what Easter eggs they're going to have in the future issues. But I loved it. The artwork was so good. I love the lettering in this book as well. It just had its cool, unique vibe to it, and it was a really good story. So overall, giving that 4 stars, and that is number 3. Moving on to number 2, a book that's really gotten me from surprise. Like, I didn't expect to like this book as much as I do, and that's Chavez, Make It in the USA. Let me see what the actual title is. Made in the USA. And honestly, I'm usually not a huge America fan. I've tried the character out before. I liked her in West Coast Avengers, but that was pretty much the only title I've really liked her in. And I was like, all right, let me try out this first issue, because I really wasn't getting that much that week. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna try out the first issue, and I really liked it. But honestly, I liked this issue even more than the first issue, which is honestly usually doesn't happen with an issue 2. Usually issue 1, they build it up so much, and the issue 2 has a little bit of a slump. But I didn't feel that way with this. I thought it did a really good job at filling in the blanks of America's character, and that's always been my issue with America. I feel like we've only ever gotten half the story, so we never really knew where she was coming from. And now we really know where she's coming from with these flashbacks and also what's going on in the present about her adopted family and how she left that adopted family and why they have a conflict, because she wanted to be a hero, she wanted to be like her mom's, and she kind of left the family because of it, because family's like, you're putting us in danger by doing this, you're putting yourself in danger, we love you, but stop doing this, stop being a hero. And she's like, no, this is who I am, this is who my parents were, I'm not gonna stop doing it. And now we're connecting that to the present, her having to reconnect to her family, and obviously seeing that from the past, and her grow up as a kid. And what I love is the friendly neighborhood aspect. As a Spider-Man fan, I especially enjoy it, and also very reminiscent to Luke Cage, especially the Luke Cage television show. So I love the vibe of her neighborhood being so important to her, and her neighborhood being a second character here. So I really enjoyed this book, and I really like her voice here. There's some good cliffhangers. I'm interested to see who this villain is and why they're targeting her family and how she relates to America, because in the end, we actually get to see that they are related to her universe. So that was really cool, and I like that it's not just making us learn about her adopted family, but we're also in that regard learning about her other, her biological family as well, and her other universe. So I just love learning more about her, and I think it's building such an interesting mythology, and I really enjoyed this issue. And artwork was really good. I very much recommend this one, even if you've never read the character before. So overall, giving that 4.5 stars, and that is number 2. My number 1 pick, you probably already know it, but it is Runaways, issue 35. This is literally the only book that's ever just always pick of the week, and it's always well-deserving, and every issue is amazing. And this issue is no exception. I think this is my first 5-star review of the year, and it's April already. I believe this is my only 5-star. Yeah, I believe this is the only 5-star one. But anyways, so with this issue, we get to see a lot going on with each character, which is why I enjoyed this issue so much. We open up with the whole Tyrant mutant situation that's been going on with Molly, and I really liked how the the character of the week, I guess we'll say, how she relates to Molly's story, because she is a mutant. She doesn't want to go to Krakoa because she loves her mom. She doesn't want to leave her mom. And she does end up deciding, hey, I could still be with my mom and go to Krakoa and learn more about my powers. And obviously, this is a bigger message to Molly, who's falling asleep as she has this conversation or listens to this conversation with this young mutant, because that's her after effects. She falls asleep after she uses her powers a lot. If she went to Krakoa and learned from the X-Men, she might be able to utilize her powers more and learn more about herself. Even though that she loves her family, she does need to learn more about herself. And that's what's so interesting about Runaways, is everyone comes from a different space. We'll get to Carolina, but Carolina's from a different planet. She was an alien. Molly's a mutant. Nico has these magical powers. And so going into Nico's story, Carolina's story, it relates really well as well, because Carolina's been dealing with the sickness, this, her not knowing anything about her body and not knowing about her abilities, really. But unlike Molly, she has nowhere else to go. There is no planet that she could go see. She's kind of stuck. They're all orphans, but she's an orphan of her planet as well. So she's just trying to figure it all out. And, we have this really interesting moment between her and Nico, where Nico says, I love you to Carolina. And it was a really precious moment. And I'm glad that they didn't end up breaking up like the teaser teased in the last issue. But there is some conflict, and there's definitely some emotions going on, because Nico tells her the truth about the Staff of One, and Carolina wants to help. She's like, okay, I'll destroy the staff. But, I don't want your soul to be captured by this genie. And she's like, no, I don't want to destroy the staff. And it's not the selfish reason. And in some regard, it is the reason of, well, I don't want to lose the thing that makes me special. But you dig deeper in the issue, it's like, I don't want to lose the thing that could save the people I love. It's the only thing I could do to protect the people I love. So I love that. I thought that was really cool. And of course, the issue's not over. There's even more in this issue, where we get to see Chase meets up with the original Gert, ? How did that happen? What's going on? And I love the design. I really have to give kudos to, I don't know if it was Chris Enga or Andres who did the design here, but to have like the little purple in her hair, but then the rest having her natural hair was really cool. And it was cool that, yeah, we knew Chase was sneaking around, but I did not guess it was going to be future Gert that was gonna, be the person he was in love with and obviously all dressed up for. And I just thought that was really cool. And it was just such a good issue. From every beat, I really felt like everyone had time to shine, and the themes really shined well here of who am I, the idea of your own self-identity and how that affects the people around you. And I just thought it was such a beautiful issue. And I can't wait until the next issue. I'm so excited. Now I understand why they kept that cover a secret. And yeah, I give this 5 stars. I loved it. It was my pick of the week, and I love Runaways, and every month I get super excited to see what happens next with Runaways. But let me know in the comments below what was your pick of the week, and of course we're going to get into the viewer's pick of the week, and that was Shadecraft issue 1. And here are some comments about that. I always want to say Shadowcraft issue 1 with that book, but yeah, Shadecraft issue 1. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. Definitely follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Go check out my comics like Father Like Daughter and They Call Her a Dancer. And every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time is Comic Book Weekly, where we discuss our favorite comics and comic book news. Thanks, guys. Bye.